Odin Borson, Allfather, speaker to ravens. I put quill to parchment for the first time in years, because I do not feel worthy of facing you. I am not worthy of traveling the Bifrost to Asgard. I am not worthy of the gift of Mjolnir, which I have left behind. Father, because of me, a great man among the humans has died, along with many others whose characters I cannot fairly judge, but let us assume that on average, they were good people. Truly, many men, great and terrible, have died around, with, and because of me. And it is true that my companions in Midgard made many small and looming mistakes that led to this tragedy. But in the hubris of my trust in the sciences of men, I have allowed a terrible thing to come to pass. For in the end, they are but mortals, and gods alone bear the burden of true guilt. I do not know where my path will lead me, but I know I must walk alone in atonement. Please, embrace Mother for me. Frigga, blessed consort of the Allfather, Queen of Asgard, Mom. I write to you now because the Allfather did not respond to the letter I sent a month prior. I did not know how best to ensure its delivery, so I gave a copy to every raven I saw for nearly a week. I must assume that one of them has reached him and that his silence is the message. Perhaps he is so disgusted by my unforgivable lapse of honor that resulted in the death of so many, and also Steve Rogers, that he does not wish to sully himself in my shame. Perhaps it is my own churlish hand-wringing that drives him to silent judgment. It seems I must truly walk alone for my misdeeds. Tell Father I hear and respect his judgment. I will see you when I am worthy again. Loki, Lord of Liars, Trickster, Malefactor. Brother, spare me your false-tongued offers of sympathy. You know I have been brought low by my own failings, and I know it amuses you to no end, no matter what honeyed words slip from your rotten lips. I reach out to you now, not for sympathy, or to be mocked. I judge myself unworthy of returning to Asgard, and I will not set foot upon the holy Bifrost until I have made my atonement. But I find myself cut off from our father and mother, and their wisdom, which I need now more than ever. So I ask you now, in the spirit of fraternal devotion, if you have any left in your ink-stained soul, will you ask Odin why he does not respond? Bruce, Doctor of the Sciences, Avenger, friend, I do not blame you for what happened on the shores of the bay. How could I? You are but mortals, with a mortal's understanding of responsibility. The blame for the tragedy must be mine alone. I set out alone on the path of atonement, but I find that I am already lost. I lack the wisdom to see where I went wrong. I need the guidance of my father, Odin, but he will not respond to my missives. In fact, I am not sure what I want from you. Why would I think you could change Odin's mind? You are a brave and noble man, but you are just a man. If Odin will not speak to me, then I must accept that the answer I seek is locked within me. I do not think I shall send this letter. I miss you, Banner. I hope you know that. Steve, Captain, Avenger, friend. It does my heart good to think of you carousing with the great warriors in Valhalla. You truly deserve to be among them. In your passing, I saw my faults. I chased glory, all the while you set an example that put the gods to shame. You saved lives, not because the skalds would sing of your deeds, but because no matter how simple and lowly, each life was worth saving. I wanted my father to tell me what to do, but the answer was with you all along. Now, it is in me. I will go into the world. I will save lives and do good for its own sake, because each life is worth saving. In your honor, I will grow closer to you. When we meet again on Valhalla's field, I hope that I will have made you proud. I will see you on the other side, Stephen Rogers.
Natasha Romanoff can be seen on the ramp of a Quinjet hovering at low altitude as storm surge from the A-Day event floods the streets. From a secondary angle, we see Romanoff drop to the roof of a parked car. Inside the vehicle, multiple individuals can be seen trapped by the rising water. Romanoff breaks the windshield and reaches in, pulling the two occupants free. From another angle, cameras register a sudden rise in water levels, and Romanoff withdraws to the Quinjet with the survivors, leaving one individual inside the vehicle. As the Quinjet pulls out of view, the car is submerged. The footage ends with the destruction of all three cameras. Remaining occupant of vehicle, presumed dead.
While some are grateful for the temporary housing supplied by Stark Industries after A-Day, many have serious questions about their future. Melissa Gold, a 22-year-old student from Oakland, has serious concerns about the long-term plans for recovery.
I'm glad I survived, I guess. But we're in a refugee camp and my childhood home is sealed away behind a wall. It's great that we have a tent, stocked with Stark Industries branded survival gear, and there's no denying they saved thousands of lives that day, acting just like heroes should. But didn't they put all those lives in danger in the first place? And not everyone was as lucky as me, so yeah, I'm grateful for my new, Stark mug. But where will I be in a year, in 5? Will Oakland be around? Will I have a home? It's gonna be a long, hard road. Will the Avengers be with us then?
Melissa says she doesn't know when she can go home, and right now, she's not holding out any hope.
This article was contained in the memory buffer of Romanoff's personal phone when we acquired a partial copy. Unsent mail appears to show that Romanoff was considering contacting the journalist directly.
A-Day plus 40 days. Natasha Romanoff entered the Alameda refugee camp at 0400 hours. Her stated intent was investigating a lead on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D. Romanoff then exited the camp at 0900 hours. Subjects' whereabouts inside the camp are unknown from 0500 to 0800 due to an unexplained failure of security cameras inside.
Romanoff was always the least invested of the Avengers, and it appears that even in the first months after A-Day, she was planning her departure. Our most reliable predictions show a strong probability that in her camp security breaches, which represented an enormous risk, Romanoff was searching for a way to profit from the chaos. Her contact with former black market associates that following week all but confirmed this prediction. While it might be attractive to offer a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, that doesn't match the observed behavior. What we do see, without much doubt, is a person who has already begun to revert to earlier learned survival behaviors. Miss Romanoff's time as an Avenger was brief compared to her time as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent or as a mercenary. Confronted with the disillusion of her social group, she will prioritize her own safety and freedom above all else. She will not take any risk that would threaten her livelihood.
I told you, we're wasting our time worrying about this one. Romanoff is underground looking out for herself. Someday we'll flip a rock and there she'll be. But she won't act alone. Move on.
The refugee camps that were once a necessity can no longer be the solution, and with the help of AIM, we will rebuild the communities we lost, said now Program Director Melissa Gold. Hundreds of thousands were left permanently displaced after that tragic day, many of whom are still living in temporary emergency housing. But with a surprise donation of $2.4 billion from Advanced Idea Mechanics, things are finally looking up for the victims of A-Day.
We will be meeting tomorrow to discuss the systemic failure that allowed an undercover operative to access sensitive financial data and divert billions to a charity right under your noses. This was deliberate and meant to embarrass us. Expect repercussions. A former Avenger infiltrated this organization, and before being discovered, managed to breach our security as well as steal billions of dollars. A former Avenger we had written off. I will accept my own responsibility in this failing, and so will you, whether you want to or not.
Before I had the procedure, I couldn't control myself. My parents were terrified to be around me. 2 hours after the procedure, I was walking laps around the hospital floor, and I couldn't and wouldn't hurt anyone.
If you or a loved one is exhibiting the signs or symptoms of the inhuman disease, call your local AIM clinic to make an appointment to get tested. Clinical trials for the cure are accepting new patients daily. Don't live in pain. Let AIM help.
Abu noticed the blood pressure cuff I borrowed last week was missing, but assumed Dami misplaced it and it'll turn up. It's not like he needs to use it anymore. It was just a precaution when he had that heart attack scare. So far, according to the internet, my blood pressure's normal. So is my pulse and my temperature, thanks to that children's thermometer I found in the bathroom cupboard. I'm trying to think of what else I could test to see if I'm getting sick, but that would involve stealing more medical equipment. I kinda wish Abu worked in a hospital instead of a bank. I also kinda wish Abu would let me talk to him more about this stuff. But he wants to pretend like A-Day never happened. He might be the only one in the entire country.
The mayor of New York performed a first today, rewarding an inorganic entity with a key to the city. One of Advanced Idea Mechanics' new synthoids was honored on the steps of City Hall for bravery and heroism after he saved 6-year-old Holly Ann Ember from being crushed by an oncoming car. Her father, Sheriff Joseph Ember of Venture Ridge, Wyoming, said they were on vacation in New York and exploring Times Square when he lost sight of Holly Ann in the crowd. Luckily, the AIM synthoid was patrolling the area and saved the girl from the brink of death. This is not the first AIM device honored for its life-saving measures, but it's the first to get this kind of public and human recognition. CTO of AIM, Dr. Monica Rappaccini, commended the synthoid for acting according to its directives to preserve human life above its own. The mayor suggested both a contest to name the bot and a statue dedication in Central Park. As for the Embers, they were treated to a guided tour of one of AIM's facilities in New York by Dr. Rappaccini herself. Hope Pym, daughter of the still-missing scientist Dr. Henry Hank Pym, announced at a press conference yesterday that the reward for any information on her missing father's whereabouts had been increased to $100,000, double the amount offered after Dr. Pym's disappearance 3.5 years ago. Police have reported no new leads in the case since the note found in his home claiming plans to flee the country was identified as counterfeit. No signs of struggle or DNA evidence was recovered. Ms. Pym claims her father was last seen attending a benefit for the groundbreaking of a free AIM clinic for inhuman patients in Brooklyn, but several witnesses reported Dr. Pym leaving the event early in his personal vehicle, which valet receipts corroborate. Though Ms. Pym claims her father had an extensive security system, no evidence of such a system was found at his home. If you have any information on Dr. Pym's whereabouts, please call the police tip line at 555-PIM-NO.
Dear Mr. Pertuse, it was with great concern and regret we received your letter in regards to your wife and son and their disappearance on A-Day. As an employee of a well-respected contractor with Advanced Idea Mechanics, we felt it was only right to go above and beyond to answer your questions. I wish we had better news, but there is no record of your loved ones being rescued from the disaster. As you know, the rescue and recovery efforts in San Francisco are still ongoing, even 5 years on. I cannot in good conscience promise that they may still be found alive, but I can assure you that AIM is doing everything in their power to find you an answer to what happened to your loved ones. In the meantime, enclosed is a check to help you and the rest of your family, though it cannot possibly match the cost of all you have been through. We hope this will aid you in these difficult times, and that you will continue to work with Advanced Idea Mechanics as a valued partner and member of the AIM family. Sincerely, Dr. Lyle Getz, Lead Researcher, Advanced Idea Mechanics.
You asked me to flag any offers involving Stark Industries holdings on auction. There's a new startup based out of Nevada called Schine, who have made a rather large offer on several of the lots. We've done our due diligence. Schine looks legit. I don't see any reason why we should refuse their offer. Except for their interest in lot ST-7981, which you had listed as a potential target of Mr. Stark. It contains the contents of his personal office acquired in the merger. Schine asked if it could be sent separately from the other shipments. We're waiting on your authorization now. Here's the incident report you requested. It was one of many, so apologies for the tardiness. Mr. Stark was prolific in his attempts to gain access to Stark Industries facilities in the past 2 years. Tony Stark gained access to his former office by donning a pair of coveralls and staring at a blank clipboard. He went unnoticed until he attempted to remove an object from inside a locked cabinet, setting off his own alarm system. He withdrew one item, which security retrieved as he was being ejected from the building. It was a bulky cellular phone. It's still currently part of lot ST-7981, although listed as inoperative. Please let us know if you need anything else.
In the last hours of the competition to unlock the target phone and win the prize, 15-year-old wunderkind Tony Stark's plan finally fell into place. While his fellow competitors were ultimately stymied by the biometric locks on the target phone's memory, Tony spent the first 20 hours of the competition building a new, blank phone from spare parts, much to the confusion of onlookers. But with the clock ticking, young Stark's plan became clear. He was able to duplicate the contents of the target phone onto his new device, bypassing the biometric locks entirely and gaining access to all the data contained. Using his handmade phone, the solder still warm, Stark was able to access the final clues, complete the puzzle, and claim victory over his classmates. A thrilling end to a white-knuckle event, and another feather in the cap of MIT's latest boy genius, son of Stark Industries CEO, Howard Stark.
Good catch. It's Stark. Schine. It's an anagram for my things. Not even a clever anagram. He's not trying to be sneaky because he thinks this is beneath me. Let the deal go through, but send the wrong shipment in place of ST-7981. Apologize profusely, blame shipping, and then send the rest of the garbage he has no interest in. When he asks about the missing lot, tell him it's adorable to see him so sentimental, and Monica will be sure to keep it close by. Then have legal file any and all lawsuits and complaints against Schine LLC. Take the lawyers off their chains and let them smell blood.
Ma'am, I know you're waiting on the formal incident report, but I think you'd like to hear it from me first. At 03:18, on Tuesday morning, once we'd told Mr. Stark that you'd keep the phone, there was a failed attempt to breach the vault by a drone. At that point, we arranged to transfer the phone to your private archives. It appears that was likely the intent of the attack all along. Once the phone was out of the shielded vault, it booted back up and made contact with an unknown network. Once it did connect, it must have received a self-destruct signal and rapidly entered thermal runaway. It was destroyed. Looks like he didn't really want the phone. He just didn't want you to have it.
I'm afraid no good news. Schine entered Chapter 7 bankruptcy and is being liquidated. There is no individual to pursue for damages. I think at best, we may retrieve those few Stark Industry lots we already sent. The Schine bankruptcy press release has an encoded message at the end. We've had the crypto boys make sense of it, presented without further commentary. Monica, hope my gloating finds you in good health. Thrilled to see you never knew what you had. I hid something on that phone a long time ago, something I didn't even trust myself with. And now it's out of your hands. I'm not short-sighted enough to call this a victory, but I do plan on taking a lap. See you next time. Kisses. Tony.
Tony, I've been trying to keep my cool, but it's time we acknowledge this breakthrough. Tarleton has completed his initial research, and I've reviewed his findings. This isn't an incremental change. This is a game changer. We're limited by the amount of the crystals he managed to retrieve, but even the samples he synthesized are capable of enormous power generation. This is clean, near limitless fuel. Now, I know right now you're thinking of what dumb giant robot you can build, but we're talking end of the energy crisis. Tony, we're talking a new world.
Such an absurd thing to worry about. Too happy. Like the punchline to a vaudeville joke. But there's a clear correlation. These last few weeks have been some of the happiest in memory. No, not happy. Content. Working with the others. Finally finding a purpose to what I thought was a curse. It's what I imagine coming home feels like. But it's affecting the Hulk. He's different. More reticent to come when I need him, just by a moment. Not enough that anyone else would notice, but I do. I've reviewed the after-report footage, and I swear, he seems smaller, somehow. Perhaps a step slower. There's an emotional complexity to him that I didn't want to acknowledge. We're tied together. Emotions flow both ways, and now that balance has shifted. Contentment isn't the opposite of anger. It's the absence. So, that's my new anxiety. If I keep getting better, could he vanish entirely? Oh, he's jealous. That enormous idiot is jealous of Monica. 3 separate times he tried to take control when I was headed to meet her. There were clumsy attempts that I could resist with the most, basic breathing exercises, but it was like he wanted me to be anywhere but with her. How much is he conscious of the link between our states of mind? My happiness might feel like an existential threat to him, something his survival instincts are screaming at him to fight. He never seemed to have a discernible reaction to my relationships in the past. I mean, is it possible he doesn't approve? Or no, I mean, God, that's foolish. Maybe Monica makes me happier than I've been able to admit to myself, but he sees through it. Maybe this time really is different. And now at work, I mean, it's like when we first began with the Avengers, he's less reliable, he's slower. God, I feel like I'm being punished. I need to keep a log of transformations. I woke up yesterday night with 0 recollection of change and 2 hours of missing time. I found myself sitting naked on an outcropping a few miles from the Chimera. And if I'm honest with myself, I haven't been this concerned for my well-being since before the Avengers. Hulk always knows. Testifying upset me more than I'm willing to admit. I hope Monica was right. I hope that we had to show some sense of honest accountability. Because Tony hasn't called me back since DC. When it gets bad like this, Hulk takes the reins for longer and longer. I can't lose complete control.
Not again. Monica's gone. The person I thought would stand beside me when everyone else would not has left. I'm not even worth the courtesy of a call, just silence. And I don't even know what I did. I want so badly to feel angry. But all I feel is guilt and shame. I opened my big mouth in the hearing and I let them down. And I can't take it back. And it might be the end of it. And now I feel something brewing deep in my core. I mean, he is in there. Just tormented by everything I've let happen. I want to give in to them. Into the abyss. Which is crushing me. And it's making him sick. The awful gravity of it all punched a black hole right through me and into him. And now we're both just empty and hollow. Before all my feelings of happiness constricted him, he fought back. I can feel him fighting back against this, but it's different. I don't know if he can win. And I don't know if I want him to. I need to go somewhere we both feel safe. Somewhere where we can figure this out. There's nothing left for me, is there? No family, either by blood or choice. Monica betrayed me. It's so clear to me now. But I somehow missed it. I can't stand the feeling. Hurt. It's crushing me. And my friends blame me, and there's a little of me that blames them for what happened in San Francisco. Even if we were together again, there's too much built up now. It's like a fatal barrier of scar tissue and animosity. Even this, sitting in a decommissioned base, hiding, waiting for nothing. There's real work to be done. People still need the Avengers, but we are just gonna let all this hate out there and loathing inside us tear it all apart. I can't do it on my own. He wouldn't mope like this. We all wring our hands when the lion kills the gazelle. But he is beyond this fatal introspection. He simply is. He deserves to live more than I do. And don't want to share this body anymore. Good night, everyone.
60. Thank you for getting the station's private network operational. Seems even Tony Stark was unaware of his father's more esoteric enterprises. For someone so in love with his legacy, Tony spent precious little time maintaining it. Howard Stark prepared the station for war, so I imagine the transition into a working laboratory wasn't easy. You can be sure you will be handsomely rewarded in due time. Knowledge of this lab is to be shared with no one, AIM security clearance or no. You will be rewarded handsomely for your loyalty, but your livelihood is heavily dependent on you keeping your end of the bargain. Sincerely, M. Subject is now in what amounts to be a medically induced coma, which will allow us to do our experiments in some semblance of peace. We're still working on a way to do a full assessment of subject's unique abilities without giving away our location and scrapping the whole project. There are a number of ways forward here, and I've consulted with several experts on purely hypothetical methodology. Some suggested I still consider subject for the Adaptoid program, but his abilities are too tied to human physiology. Some also suggested we wake him up, but I've seen the damage he can do. Even in the vacuum of space, he's far from harmless. I find myself talking to him. I know his particular set of abilities don't give him the intelligence to understand what I'm trying to accomplish here, but lacking a similar intellectual confidant leaves me speaking with the ether, in subject's general direction. There's so much more we could gain from him beyond a regenerative formula or rapid cellular duplication or any other plate I currently have spinning. But that requires waking a sleeping dragon. And I happen to enjoy having my head firmly on my shoulders. Anyway, blood cultures are looking just as remarkable as last month, and the month before that. I almost feel bad keeping this kind of marvel from George, but I suppose there are actually 2 sleeping dragons in my life at this moment. Stop trying to throw each other to the wolves. I take full responsibility. Despite her education, Dr. Helen Gable had no business in our Asgard initiative from the beginning. All the markers were there. The rigid, legalistic thinking, the speech peppered with unconscious religious allusions, her childhood history. I knew all of it, and I put her in charge. Descent into hyper-religious mania was a predictable outcome. We don't know what Dr. Gable has planned with the artifacts that she stole, or how she was able to convert so many AIM personnel to her cause when she defected. Yes, this concerns me, but I don't regret it. Only a zealot's drive could have unlocked the secrets of those artifacts. What she uncovered before her delusions took her has already made the initiative a 10-fold success.
Odin Borson, Allfather, Speaker to Ravens. I have come to depend on your lack of answers, Father, for I can truly be honest in these letters. I do not even have to send them. But I've longed for your wisdom, now more than ever. It has been a long while since any of the humans of Midgard truly worshipped us. Our sacred runes are forgotten to them, only seen now in the fading ink of regrettable tattoos. To tell the truth, I have liked it this way. I did not recall how much devotion made me feel so unworthy. But it has begun again. I can feel it like a gathering storm. Fanatics, calling themselves the Woken of Asgard, scratching at the past, bringing back the old ways. I know there is honor and wealth in our past, but like the plague, or chamber pots, I confess I had hoped the humans had moved on.
Friends, every day we hold the works of the gods in our hands. We grow numb to their wonder. But even as we break them apart to learn their workings, we have forged undeniable connections between us and the divine. Make no mistake, we are beyond fortunate to be where we are, but it is more than fortune. I believe that we, all of us, have been chosen. We were chosen because we alone are awoken to the wonder of Asgard and what it offers. We alone are worthy. I do not make these proclamations lightly or timidly. I know, beyond all doubt, that we are here for a reason. I know, because Thor, God of Thunder, revealed himself to me. I have stood in his presence. I have quailed before his storm. But he has found me worthy of his truth. Now I hand this truth down to you with open eyes. We are awoken, chosen of Thor. We will listen and follow in his wake.
Dr. Rappaccini, we've done our best to retrieve the data that Gable and her followers tried to destroy, but she was thorough. It seems that she had been keeping 2 separate logs of her discoveries, one that was passed to AIM leadership and yourself, and one that was private. For the most part, those records were identical, but in the last year, they appear to diverge wildly. She'd been working directly with an artifact that we initially believed to be a fragment of a weapon. Her public research notes confirm this fact, but privately, she had discovered that it was a key of sorts, unlocking some form of doorway, or perhaps a vehicle. She was certain that it led back to the device's creators, in Asgard. She believed that from a complete key, she could reverse engineer the method of transit, but was unable to learn more at this time. Shortly after that is when we believe she was contacted by the outside agent we discussed. That's when everything went to hell.
My fellow travelers, your discretion and precision in these last few weeks have filled me with pride. I know it was not easy to conceal our purpose from AIM, but your dedication and determination does not go unnoticed. So I come to you today with the most glorious of news. Thor has given me a revelation. Now that he is satisfied with our effort, the rest of our divine path lies ahead. We are done with AIM and this mundane world. We will take what we need and salt the earth behind us. The way ahead will only grow more challenging. Thor and I will ask much of you in the coming months. But what he offers is nothing less than paradise. My brothers and sisters, Thor has found us worthy, and if we will follow him, he will take us home. He will lead us to Asgard.
For all of my dealings with the mortals, there will forever be a gulf between us. Because I am a god. I can never forget that, although I choose to ignore it most days. When I disappeared from the world of men, Helen Gable and her followers still found a twisted version of me. Religion can be an excuse for humans, an apology in advance for intended atrocity. They will do it in our name, and the worst of them believe they are right. The imposter who walks in my footsteps knows this, and will continue to mislead them into darkness. I cannot allow this. I know that I have a great responsibility if I choose to walk in Midgard. Whether or not I am worthy, all the humans see is a god. If I do not speak, the humans will do so themselves, in our name. And no man speaks for Thor.
Dr. Rappaccini, we went back and reviewed Dr. Gable's correspondence with internal AIM team members just prior to her defection. The makeup of the terrorist cell is generally representative of AIM personnel stationed at the same facility as the Asgard program, indicating she was recruiting openly. But you were correct in that we can draw inferences based on the effort spent in converting certain key individuals, and it seems she had a vested interest in recruiting individuals with very specific backgrounds. Specifically, anyone who worked on the Einstein-Rosen Bridge project was highest on her list. You'll recall that's when we attempted to create a stable wormhole between 2 microscopic singularities for instant connection between 2 distant points. The internal records have been expunged following the containment incident, but the few surviving team members were highest on her list. Whatever her endgame is, that's currently the best lead I can offer.
My brothers and sisters, the time has come. Thor has shown himself to me once more. This shall be the last time that he reveals himself to us on Midgard. For very soon, we will walk with the gods. We knew this was coming. There will be fear and anxiety, but we are prepared. You will sell what you can and leave the fragments of your old lives behind you. You may be tempted to say goodbye, or to offer comfort to those you are leaving behind. But we can take no risks. Those who do not see the truth have no place with us now. It will be difficult. Thor will ask much of us in the coming days. A prophet of a false god might ask for your faith and for your trust. I will do no such thing. We are here, lives on the line, not for faith, but for certainty. We are all people of science. Faith is what a charlatan asks for. We have seen the truth, undeniable and material. We have the light of the gods to guide us, and we will not falter.
In the end, Dr. Gable and Thor provided us with one final experiment, and I suspect we will be parsing the data for some time. Gable fulfilled her purpose, just as intended. We learned from her failures as well as her successes. We move forward. Dr. Gable looked at the Asgardians and saw proof of the divine. I see no such thing. I see a stepping stone. The Asgardians are beings of great power, surely, but they fight, bicker, and die just like us. I did not collect those artifacts so that we could learn to better praise them. I did it so we could one day learn to surpass them. Today, we just took a great leap forward.
None of the others have admitted it's over, but I can smell the rot in the air. Tony won't speak to Bruce after DC. Thor's gone, longer than usual. And Clint, who knows? It was a good run. If Steve was still here, I could I told you so him into the dust. But no one likes to be told they were wrong. So I'll jump, like always, before someone pushes. I said my goodbyes, even if no one knew that's what they were. I can go anywhere. I can go back to before. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't attractive. I don't get to do that. There's no undoing what we did and what we've become. It's a part of us all now. And out there, all that damage doesn't go away just because we do. The Avengers died on A-Day. But I didn't. All I have to do now is find a way to live with it. We're all gonna have to do it alone. You blunt your sharp edges on a team or else you cut each other. There's strength in it, but it's a sacrifice. I made it knowingly again and again because together we were accomplishing something. Or we thought we were. I was always better alone. Slipping back into the old skills feels like coming home. I can be as sharp as I need and cut when I want. AIM was concerned that an agent might infiltrate their organization, but they were concerned about espionage. I simply forged references and applied for a job. I've since pointed out the security flaw, and new employees are rigorously cross-checked. Too late to keep me out, but at least I get the credit. As long as George or Monica don't recognize me, I am embedded. It'll be a long time before any of this bears fruit, but I am right where I need to be. No one to confirm orders, no one else to watch out for. I miss those guys, but I can do more good on my own. AIM has grown increasingly paranoid through its expansion, much of which I have deliberately stoked to control its direction. When they post-mortem my infiltration, they'll learn a great deal. But for the time being, it's all simple sleight of hand and misdirection. Children's birthday party stuff. They have files on me. They knew more about the old days than Fury did. Scared me how good their research was. Some of those days I had forgotten, deliberately. AIM lost Bruce, around the same time everyone else did. Tony's completely in the wind, though I have an idea where he might be holed up. They have some sightings of Thor, but I've corrupted the data points enough that they won't be able to track him. I can't interfere with these reports too closely or a pattern will emerge. A gentle push here and there, but it's an almost unacceptable risk. I keep telling myself this will be the last time, but here I am, dragged right down again. I was so much better at this when I didn't care. It was my fault. AIM has an algorithm sniffing for coincidences, and it picked up my traffic on the Avengers files. Of course, I never used my terminal or logins. I didn't know his name, but it turns out he was a fan. He'd been visiting hero fan sites on his lunch breaks. That was the last mark against him. If I'd tried to intervene, we'd both be dead. The worst part wasn't that it was hard for me. It was that it was easy. It was so easy. This is who I used to be. Before the Avengers. I know exactly what Steve would say. He'd ask me if that man's life was worth my silence. I don't have an answer for that yet. And that's as good as a no. I'm a sharper blade on my own. But I'm not better. That was a lie. I'm better when Steve was there to hold me accountable. I don't know if I can do that on my own. I found the kid's name and next of kin, and added them to the Foundation's planned disbursement. He's a victim of A-Day and me, as much as anyone else. Someone else is gonna have to die for me before this is over. At least one. I can try to justify it, but when I strike and the depth of my activities becomes known, Monica and Tarleton will require blood. Maybe it's gonna come from one of the ghouls in Monica's orbit. It might be someone who deserves it. But I have no way of knowing. I'm in the dark. Of course it's worth it. That's beside the point. What matters, what the blood lesson is for me, is that we only get here weighing ends against means when we have no one else to rely on. Before, this never would have bothered me. Wouldn't have even registered. When I told Steve what I used to do, I didn't know how he'd take it. Smug jerk just smiled and said, "Well, you can never go home again." Damned if he's not right. Time's up. Just like with the Avengers, death is in the air now. I've crossed lines that will lead back to me. Just a matter of time. If it wasn't for Kamala, I could have stayed a little longer. I can't begrudge the kid. She did good. Everything's been ready for months. Just needed to wait for the right moment. Jump before the push. This is the worst part. No more work to do, no time to act. I don't know what comes next. But it feels like gravity. We can't go home again. Steve was right. But we can make new homes. We all had to find a way to make our peace with what happened. There was no way I could have held their hands through it. If I did, it would have been meaningless. We can't be the Avengers again. But maybe we can be something new.
Hey, Rhodey. I would throw a tantrum and say I want my suit back, but not even that belongs to me. I signed it all over to Uncle Sam because I couldn't foresee a world where we weren't on the same side. Me armored exoskeleton, Sue armored exoskeleton, I thought. No such thing as gentlemen's agreements, turns out. You watched what they did, locked me out of the facilities I built, disassembled me and everything I built in front of the world, and while I was trying to hold the pieces together, Justin Hammer buys majority share, and Monica brokers the sale of my seized assets. I also know that you fought for me. I know you argued with Ross, and when he wouldn't go to bat for me, you contacted Senator Cabot directly. Yeah, I still have birdies inside. Shh. I also know that it got you iced out of any future decision-making. You put yourself on the line for me and got burned. Good, Scab. But also, thank you. Don't trust the bastards. Nat, I need your help. I'm gonna skip the fun Tony part because I'm too anxious, if that gives you a sense of how freaked out I am. They're taking everything that was any part of the Avengers or any joint project with the government. I have a court order to stay away while they catalog the assets. I need you, Nat. I need you to get inside and delete my browser history. Sorry, the jokes. Okay, for real? There's something that I already removed from the servers. Dumped it on a solid-state quantum storage device that looks exactly like a cheap external drive and had it couriered to you. I want to move him and leave no trail, and for that, I need your expertise. I have a destination in mind. He'll be safe there, for a while at least. Please, Nat. He's not a tool that we can just turn over. We should have had him legally defined as a person when we had the chance, but I screwed up. We owe him. Tony. Hey, Steve. I thought about writing this on an actual piece of paper with a pen because that's exactly the corny garbage that would have made you smile. But you're dead, and my hand cramped up just thinking about it, so you get an email. It's gonna bounce off of your email address undeliverable, but I'm feeling nostalgic. I told you about Golden Acres, the family retreat, right? I know nostalgia is basically your superpower, but I guess I expected to feel something more coming back here. This is one of the last properties in my name where I spent childhood summers, and somehow I just can't summon up the strength to care. Maybe I've lost too much already. Like a defense mechanism against more pain. Jeez. What an insufferable killjoy I've become. You'd hate me right now, Steve. God knows I do. It's too late to change sheets and air out a bedroom. I'm gonna crash in the RV tonight. Get to it tomorrow, I guess. I miss you, pal. T. Maria, how are you? I'm fine too. Listen, I need some advice and also possibly legal and financial assistance. I don't know if you're still monitoring this address, but I don't have anyone else. I burned a lot of bridges, and I realize now why there's an idiom advising against it. I owe money to some people that you might charitably call violence-prone, low-level criminals. In a vain attempt to raise some capital to buy back Stark shares, I've been gambling, which sounds even stupider when I say it out loud. And it turns out I'm not good at it, hence owing the money. They came to collect, with baseball bats. I had a prototype of a new repulsor strapped to my hand, so yeah, I may have deployed forbidden weaponry in a civilian zone. I'm fine, thanks for asking, but I realize this is going to land on your desk if it hasn't already. I don't need money. I need you to slow down that report for as long as you can. I'm realizing I can't stay quiet out here forever, but I could really use a head start. Anything you can do. For old time's sake. Tony. Thor! Hey, pal. I know you have about as much chance of answering this as Steve, but I was just in ye old workshop, rocking out, and I suddenly realized how much I missed you, pal. You want to come visit and hammer some stuff? I could drink goat's milk out of a horn on my own, but it wouldn't be the same. I've been busy lately. Been a while since I designed a new suit, and it's slow going without a proper assistant, virtual or otherwise. Maria told me they had some sighting of you in New York, or at least sightings of someone as enormous and unfairly handsome as you. I choose to believe it was you, because the alternative is that you went back to that Renaissance fair world of yours and I never see you again. I mean, I am still kind of pissed at you for rabbiting, not gonna lie, but most of the damage, me and my multi-month mope. Well, now I'm done with it. I'm not letting it ground me anymore. I'm back. But damn, I'm lonesome. Where are you, man? T.
Bruce, I already made a bit of a fool of myself at our first meeting. I hope you won't hold it against me if I continue that trend. Can you blame me for being a little overwhelmed by my present company? You and Tony have been absolutely welcoming, and I wanted to thank you for making a difficult situation as frictionless as possible. I know that Dr. Tarleton can seem a little frosty, but he's privately told me that he's grateful for your magnanimity. It's been a hard transition for the both of us, adapting to the pace at which the Avengers work, but I promise that we're up to the challenge. You mentioned coffee earlier, and if that wasn't just a performative pleasantry, I'd like to call your bet and raise you. Let me take you to dinner. You're new in town, and I never go out, so it'll be a novelty to us both. Name the time, Dr. Banner. I'm game. Monica.
Monica, can you please call? I understand if you don't want to talk, but I just want to know you got home after, okay? I'm not going to apologize for Tony. I'm so used to his effortless narcissism that I've learned to let it slide, and I just try to ignore it. Because if I didn't, the Hulk would have smashed him long ago. Haha. But I have the privilege of just ignoring him. It wasn't my discovery that he put his name on, again. He's not evil. He just gets excited and can't slow down. He's so self-absorbed that it borders on solipsism. There is only Tony. Anyway, let me try to make it up to you. I can move around the next round of trials so that the mass spectrograph lab is free for a few days. I got clearance for you to use the whole suite over the weekend for the paper you've been working on. Who knows, maybe you'll even let me review it when you're done. I'm sorry, I don't know how to be romantic. I'm just doing my best.
Big guy, I'm so sorry if I worried you. That was so thoughtless of me not to think of how you must have felt. Look, Tony is not the first buffoon I've worked with, just the most famous. I know from experience that I gain nothing by making a scene, so I blew off my steam on a brisk walk. I must have had my phone off, and here you were thinking I was mad at you. Poor thing. I know you're in a hard situation, and I see you trying to make it right every day. That's all that matters. It's so sweet of you to get me lab time, but it's absolutely not necessary. Okay, twist my arm, I'll take it. Let me make it even. On Friday, we'll go back to my apartment, I'll cook up the number to a delivery place, and then we'll do something really decadent and wild, like go to bed at a reasonable time and sleep a full 8 hours. What do you say, M? Not going to get what I'm looking for from Bruce. While there's much to learn from his blood, his contribution to my regenerative formula is at an end. I've had essentially unfettered access to blood samples, but he requires significantly more tranquilizer in his food than a man of his size should, and that makes the extraction dangerous. Any more, and he would begin to suspect. I'll continue to maintain him as a strategic asset, but I can release the grip a bit now. No trace of the Hulk in Bruce's blood, and no way to provoke the change in the laboratory. Even tried screaming at the petri dish. The gamma fingerprint lingers, but nothing more. If I want to see the secrets in the monster's blood, I will need to find a way to take it directly from him. This is a challenge for tomorrow. And then there's Rogers. Don't yet know how to solve for him. I get the uncanny sensation when he looks at me that he sees. I'm not used to that, and it unnerves me. But by God, I want to know what flows in his veins.
Hey, Lenny. Long time no see. George passed on your message. Cute address. By the way, I'm assuming you made it just for me. You're right to be angry. I shouldn't have left the table without saying a proper goodbye the other night. I'll cut to the chase. You'll have your money, and a lot faster, if I have full use of my knees. No need to find out where I live, no need for more threats. Give me 3 days, and we'll both be able to walk away happy. What do you say? Hugs and kisses. Tony. Hey, P. It's me. You know, the charismatic genius screw-up you were dumb enough to fall in love with. I keep asking you to be patient, and you have been. More than I deserve. But I'm still working things through, and you don't want to see where I'm living. It's a fixer-upper. Much like me. But what's new? Another month. 2 max is all I need. That'll give me the time to finish 1 or 2 home improvement projects. I'll be in touch. I hope you'll be there. Love you. T.
Stark, I know you still check this address. Your antics are becoming tiresome. Stop them, or I'll be forced to take legal steps to make your life even more miserable than I imagine it already is. You're not the only faded hero who decided to secrete themselves in a cave of their own making. Find other ways to amuse yourself, Monica.